All right, Justin Parnell, Dan Schneider back for round 1 of draft 3. We just got to see Sam Black draft a deck. What are you going to call this deck, Dan?
I 5-color rock. It's definitely got elements of sort of the classic green black rock, but with just every other at least one powerful card from every other color. So I think like domain rock, 5-color rock, whatever we want to call it, is it's 5 colors, it's grindy, and it's going to be great to watch.
It is going to literally squeeze the life out of people with card advantage. And on the other side, we have Toby Barnes piloting what we believe is going to be blue-white control. Maybe have a touch of a swamp in there.
Yep. He's drafted the cards to be able to play a black splash if he wants to. And it looks like, from what we've been able to see, kind of the primary card he might be thinking about is some black control elements.
I will be honest, I'm actually annoyed at Sam that he had that Grand Coliseum in his opening hand. Because it's his only land that comes into play tapped, and he doesn't really have any turn 1 plays, so it's the perfect play in his deck.
You ever done turn 1 plays? I feel like we have a good number of... we have an Elvish Mystic. We have a Ignoble Hierarch.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I stand corrected.
He's got some turn 1 things, but yeah, fetching out a basic planes, so that puts us already at 3 of our 5 domain.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any cards that reference domain in his. I don't think he's playing anything that references domain in his main deck, but he's already most of the way there for our Dominaria United Limited format.
Toby cycling Eternal Dragon, getting a Plains card, which is his second Tundra. As a reminder, there are 2 of each dual land in this draft.
Yeah. Making mana way better than it could be otherwise, and we've already seen that Sam's mana is even way, way better than that.
Yes. Toby's looking pretty solid for a 2-color deck.
Yep.
And Sam is going to slam down this ramped out Ravenous Baloth, which against blue-white control, the life portion, not going to be the most relevant thing, but it's a 4/4 for 4.
Yeah, 4/4 for 4, which is nicely sized. It's we didn't have questing beasts back then. We had the Ravenous Baloths.
Yes.
And it's interesting. Like it would not surprise me to see Sam just kind of power through a lot of powerful threats and try and draw counter magic and other things so that he could land more of the grindy elements of it. And here we have unfortunately a dissipate, which is going to get rid of the grindiness of ever bringing that Baloth back. But
as it's going to exile it upon countering it.
Yep.
So now, while dissipate's good, okay.
All right.
We have seen Underground Sea. We have an Underground Sea alert. Now we have a morph here.
We have a morph.
I'm going to tell you what it is.
I have a good sense.
All right. What do you guess?
Scornful Egoist.
Okay, close.
Close.
Very, very close. It's Exalted Angel.
Oh, okay. So
as Toby just shows us.
Hopefully, setting me straight. Not the Egoist, but the one of the premier finishers of this point in time.
And we see a Pernicious Deed, which is going to immediately take out the 0 converted mana cost morph creature, because that is how magic works.
That is how that works. Hero's Downfall, Putrefy, whatever you want to call it. Seeing a 2 damage come in from a Fairy Conclave.
But there was a notable thing that happened on Sam's last turn. You know what that was? This land drop.
Did he? Looks like he just added a Polluted Delta. Right. So
gotta remedy that.
He doesn't have a volcanic island, so we're only going to be adding one more to our domain. Again, he doesn't have any cards with domain. I'm just tracking it because his deck is fantastic.
So probably going to be getting either the Badlands, or I don't know if he has a blue. Well, let's take a look. We have anything we can fetch for blue? I don't know if he's playing an island proper.
He can find the Badlands, a Bayou, which he already has one. Yeah, just the Badlands, I think, off of the...
Badlands or Island is probably what we're looking at.
Yeah, possibly a basic Swamp, but unlikely he would go and grab that. Playing instead of Yavimaya Elder, because you know what he needs is some more lands.
That's true. Now, Yavimaya Elder, going to draw you 3 cards.
I'm going to draw 3 cards.
Yeah, 3's a lot. And I believe we're going to see Yavimaya Elder do just that this turn, trading in a 2/1 to draw 2 basic lands and a card off the top, stacking it so you get the lands first, then draw that card after you thin your deck a tiny bit.
Yep. Explaining that interaction to his opponent, it looks like. Probably asked, do you draw first or do you get the land first? We see a basic mountain. A basic mountain. How did you even fit a basic mountain?
And a basic island.
And a basic island.
Sam, unsatisfied with having domain from dual lands, is determined to do it from basics.
Doing it for real. I feel excellent about the domain rock call.
Yes. And I feel good about confirming he was going to play 5 colors before drafting a blue card.
That's true. We have thus far only seen green and black cards, but
the gig is up for Toby, knowing that he literally, playing his green and black cards, gets a basic island and basic mountain.
Yep. Let's see what Sam's gonna.
So Toby, previous turn, attacked with that Fairy Conclave.
Yep.
But then passed with full open mana.
Full open mana. Do we have a?
Now.
Looking blue. Do we have a desertion? Is that in this cube?
There is a syncopate.
Syncopate. Syncopate will do.
Syncopate.
Well,
this is a great time to syncopate.
Yeah, this is the kind of spell that you do not want to let resolve.
It represents 9 power on its own, and I would imagine with the blue-white control deck leaning on a lot of counter magic, this is probably going to hit the bin for Sam and not the battlefield.
Yes, though I mean that ups his creature count in the yard to at least 2, and we continue to grind our way forward across that. So creature being in Sam's graveyard, no guarantee it's going to stay there. We know he drafted a copy of Genesis. We know he drafted a copy of Oversold Cemetery. We know he drafted a copy of Living Death.
The Sledgehammer.
So many ways that card might come back.
And one of my absolute favorite Magic the Gathering cards of all time, Gush, on the stack, floating 2 blue.
Gush. A tragedy that Toby does not seem to have picked up the Psychotog, is that's a classic interaction. The Gush Psychotog here, just possibly still looking for counter magic. Oh boy, Sam seems to be reaching for some tokens. I think we're going to see some squirrelies.
Oh, that is not what you want after gushing and floating 2 blue.
Yeah, there are. Yep,
they're representing 4 squirrels.
Confirming 4 squirrels.
Oof. Okay.
Like end of turn. End of turn, we're going to see a withdraw. So withdraw is a card that is a boomerang, return target creature, and then has the Rhystic ability. If your opponent can't pay 1, you may return another creature. Sam did have the open Coliseum, so only 1 squirrel disappearing off of that. But
a solid card. You know, you can't always catch them without being able to pay the 1. But the upside of being able to do that, withdrawal for a long time was a regular cube staple, not just restricted to this cube.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like that Fairy Conclave came back in. Sam paid some Echo. It looks like the Elder is about to get Swords to Plowshares. So
picking off another creature into exile, which is actually more important than Toby probably realizes. At
yeah,
this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sam's still having a decent clock that's hard to interact with on a 1-to-1 basis. You know, you don't want to keep withdrawing one card per 1 squirrel. It's not the way you want to go about this.
Toby did get to,
and there's the Oversold Cemetery.
I think Toby now realizing how critical those 2 exiles on creatures probably are going to end up being. But this is, even with that, this is not a card that Toby really wants to resolve, but I don't think he's going to have much of an option.
No, I don't think so either. I think could Force Spike is in the format, but does not seem to have been in his hand. And
Toby looking at the top of his deck, hoping Untreat the Angels has an old border for printing. Not so.
Here we have the greatest finisher of all time,
Superman.
Circa 2003.
Yes.
Morphling has entered the battlefield.
As a reminder, the only non-old border foil in the cube. Respects are paid. Should be in there. 5 mana, what do we got?
Genesis.
A card that on its face outclasses the 3/3 Morphling. Now, we know that's ultimately not necessarily going to be true, but...
An Ornithopter of Paradise, another new old border foil. And, you know, this is going to be really tough for Toby because his options, none of them are great. You know, he can attack with the Morphling, which, you know, leaves him back. But all that's going to do is, you know, Sam's going to be able to chump with that Ornithopter of Paradise and just start building up the graveyard.
Or just not. Oh, now we have a Teferi's moat, and this is quite interesting because Sam's got a lot of green creatures.
Sam has a lot of green creatures.
And we may see Morphling now taking flight as there is some insulation on Toby's life total.
Yep, absolutely.
And obviously, we don't know exactly what Toby named, but I'm going to confidently guess green was selected.
Yep. Sam had an opportunity to, but did not ultimately choose to pick up the Reclamation Sage earlier in the draft, which would have been a cleaner answer to this card. It looks like he does have at least one good threat of another color in his hand.
Now, there's something very critical. If Toby gives Morphling Shroud with this ability on the stack, Flametongue Kavu will pick off one of Sam's creatures. That does not happen.
Oop. Oh, wow.
And exactly, we are punished because he did not do that.
Wow. What an awesome interaction.
We see a response to the Shroud trigger by flashing in Restoration Angel, flashing, blinking the Flametongue Kavu, and that, kids, is why you should have done that with it on the stack. For 2 reasons.
Wow. And also seeing us add 7 power worth of non-green threat to the board, which really is going to start to pressure Toby's life total pretty quickly here. And we see Sam getting in.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that being the critical turn of the game.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think we saw Toby cycle a miscalculation, which is not getting a lot done at this point in the game. Sam having, I think, 8 lands in play in Ornithopter of Paradise. Seeing a Grenzo.
Classic old border foil card. Grenzo, Dungeon Warden. Grenzo does like to interact with the library, which is good because it's going to go right back on top with that memory lapse.
Yeah, but again, a non-green threat is really, really meaningful at this point in the game because it's going to help Sam really close this one out. Yep, see him cracking across for another 7.
And this is just going to be, and Sam wanting to make sure that Toby doesn't miss it, correcting his opponent's life.
Playing the Grenzo, and that's enough for Toby. First game going to Sam Black.
So that was, I think if that Morphling sticks, Toby's not in control, certainly, despite the name of the deck.
Yeah.
But we would have, I believe, seen a much greater chance for him to regain control because there's not really an opportunity once that Morphling has Shroud for the turn.
Yep.
For Sam to be able to pick it off.
Yep.
Because then what you need to do with Morphling is untap.
Yep.
Once you untap after playing it, you're golden.
Sam had quite a few things. I don't know if I think
golden for it sticking around.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the game, but the
Morphling's golden. You still in a precarious spot.
That's true. The Morphling gold, almost impossible for it to die once you can untap with full mana.
For sure.
Very difficult. So we, what do we have for Toby? Sam, I'm going to predict no changes. Sam as the professional he is, go look through his sideboard and probably just shuffle up the 40 he presented in game 1. I don't know if we are working with a lot of sideboard options for Jeff. Now, there is a bribery, which I think is cute, but Sam's deck is so value heavy and can interact with so many different threats that what you might be doing is actually putting one of Sam's creatures on the battlefield for him to kill it later and go back into his graveyard, which is exactly where he wants it.
Yeah, and there aren't that many sort of major haymakers in Sam's deck. Even in his draft pool, Iridescent Angel would be kind of the top premium threat you might be able to bribe out.
Yeah.
But there's still enough answers there that it's not going to sort of save you.
Jeff really needing. This is going to be tough because he's going to be on the play this game.
Yep.
Best case scenario is on the draw next game, which is not where he wants to be. He's playing a counterspell deck, and he can't let Sam just resolve that many cards. I mean, quite frankly, that is his path to victory, and this was a failed attempt in game 1.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we saw Sam do, is to just play strong threats pretty consistently and not really be too bothered about whether or not those threats were sticking, because the counterspell out of the deck early is a recursion engine, is a powerful creature that comes out again later, right? There are only so many counterspells in the cube. There's only so many counterspells in the deck. And with Sam's ability to sort of recur things, it's very, very difficult to sort of try and win this on a one-to-one basis.
Yes. And that is really what it seems like Toby's deck is kind of built around.
Yep.
Probably going to be able to take advantage of that against a lot of other players, but not so here.
No.
As Sam is using 2 zones to great effect, where the graveyard is going to be something that, ironically, Toby is going to be better set up than most players to interact with, as we saw with the Dissipate and the Swords.
Yep.
But not quite enough.
I think we have, he did take the Funeral Pyre, which is, old graveyard hate. If someone's not as familiar with it, it exiles a single card for a 1/1.
One card, yes. You get your little
so you get your one shot to sort of hit a Genesis or something like that, and hope that helps slow down the grindiness. So I'd expect to see that come in for Toby. It's very clear that Sam's doing a bunch of recurring on that front.
And I believe you have a misdirection that may be able to cleanly come out after you see all permanents.
Yes, that's a nice swap. Yeah, interesting to see how many of Sam's kind of removal-ish creatures he chooses to keep. They don't have a ton of targets, but it does look like the targets they have are pretty high impact. So that's always a difficult decision when sideboarding, figure out how many of those to keep in. Your 3-mana 1/1 flyer is not as exciting.
Anything that we saw in the draft that you think Sam might be missing right now?
That he sort of wished he had?
Yeah.
I think the Reclamation Sage, there's definitely some clear utility around. And it would be nice to sort of be able to recur that. But, missing might even be aggressive. It's got so many powerful things going on.
We see Sam open on his 2 1/1 mana creatures, an Elvish Mystic into Ignoble Hierarch, which is pretty great because that's attack for 2, as Sam does not need to utilize that mana to accelerate out anything on turn 2.
And here we see DMU Draft All-Star.
Impulse. I love an Impulse. I was so excited when that was reprinted.
Oh, a fantastic card. It's always exciting to see these older cards, slowly be realized, like, is this strong enough for Standard? Is this strong enough for Modern? And people really feel comfortable allowing those things to come in. FTK, still not legal in Modern. I'm still waiting on that one. One of these days.
It's disrespect.
Thinking about it for the Evergreen Cube, just like what a clean card. So hopefully one day we'll get there. We're in Dominaria right now. We got some Kavus hanging around.
That's true.
Sam now up to potentially 5 mana. Time to start playing haymakers.
Yeah. What is our optimal play here in the face of 3 open mana from Sam?
His least favorite big threat. It looks like he's going to get in an attack again. Doesn't need the mana. All right. Sam now has access to fetching of Badlands. Gives him everything but blue.
So
Ooh, and a draw go from Toby.
That is
no land drop.
That is going to be really. That's going to be devastating. I really think that if we don't see it, we're going to see a cycling of a. I believe I probably would have said, you know what,
cycle that on the main phase.
Cycle that on the main phase. You're going to be able to resolve something. I probably have another counterspell in my hand. Looks like he's got a mana leak. I absolutely have to hit a land because if I don't, these counterspells aren't going to mean anything.
Ooh, we have a more face down. Very likely. I think it is an Exalted Angel.
I think we could say confidently it's Exalted Angel.
Very confidently. We'll see if Sam wants if he wants to trade that face down Exalted Angel with this 2/2 elf. We got 4 FTK,
and we're
hits,
much closer to the end of the game than it
the
appears.
Hits keep coming. Oh,
Toby may have kept a 3-land hand, assuming that an impulse and a misdirection potentially, or a miscalculation cycled was going to get there.
Yep.
And it's all over now but the crying for Toby.
He's got to withdraw.
Yeah. I mean, I can't recast that Flametongue Cabo without taking out one of your creatures, but I have a feeling that Sam may say, you know what, maybe I just will.
Yeah. I mean, or now that
There could be another meaningful threat.
both blue mana are tapped, right? He hasn't had a turn where it's sort of been shields down for him to cast a more powerful, relevant threat. Now he's got all the mana in the world that he needs. Very easy to see that he, could quite confidently. Looks like he's fetching, so seems very likely he's going to be casting a spell here, and
especially after getting full domain.
Exactly,
as Sam needs to do to fulfill his promise to himself.
Exactly. It's a contractual obligation for that.
We can't call it domain.
Here's
rock.
a probe with kicker.
I would guess this is a sideboard card that probably came in.
Yeah, I think that seems very likely. Sam will be drawing 3, discarding 2, and then his opponent will be discarding 2 as well.
I think surprisingly, while I think probe, and generally an excellent spot in this matchup, is actually going to mean very little.
Yeah,
because the discarding 2 from Toby is just going to save him from his next end step.
Yeah,
where he was just gonna he was gonna do that due to game rules. So now, notably, this was the shields down.
Yeah,
Sam did not actually have that high of an impact.
No, it is a little surprising that there wasn't much else in there, but he had he is able. The life total's not that high on Toby's side. Even though it's just been this elf plinking in turn after turn, now down to single digits.
I believe that Sam has an Abrupt Decay in his hand by virtue of him not attacking with his elf that he had done every other turn of the game, and leaving up green and black mana.
Interesting.
No other reason not to attack with it. What else could you be holding up?
No, he had attacked the prior turn with the Flametongue Kavu that got withdrawn.
Yeah, but last turn he passed without attacking with his elf.
He attacked with the FTK. The FTK was withdrawn, so the elf he got the Exalted
Was
Trigger.
the last turn?
That was on the last turn.
Sam's turn took 4 years.
I believe so.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And
here it is.
FOF. I don't think there's going to be any more letters in that.
Well, we'll see if there's maybe like a Wrath in here, and we'll see.
Spoiler alert. There is not.
Oh no.
There's not going to be a Wrath in there.
That's
what the best we can do is a Cascade Bluffs and a Starstorm, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Oof.
Because Cascade Bluffs not in the cube.
Not in the cube.
The problem is, as we had previously said, even with these mediocre beats, Sam is kind of already under Toby.
Yep. It's like we have a classic 3-2. Sam trying to keep him choked off of white mana, so the plains is in the 2 pile.
Taking the plains, obviously.
3 islands going to the yard?
It's at least 2. I'm not quite sure of the last card. Probably one we are not going to see anytime soon.
Yeah.
Now, Sam does not know that there's Underwrath. And I think that there could be some careful...
Sam, that's fair. That's fair. He may not be aware.
Some careful stepping to make sure. Because it's not going to be difficult for him to just punch Toby down a little bit. Very little resistance in the way of dealing with creatures on the board.
Yeah. Which is not where you want your blue-white control deck to be.
No. We have a Swords and Plowshares and Funeral Pyre will make you a 1/1.
The world's saddest ambush viper.
I think it's probably likely that the Shadow Mage Infiltrator is lurking.
Yep.
While maybe there could have been a turn where Call to the Grave. Hey, I beat it by a second. Call to the Grave could be good. It will be difficult at this point.
End of turn, Resto Angel. That's
going to put 6 damage onto Toby for his turn. Sam probably going to get rid of the Ignoble Hierarch, which is not providing any power to the board.
Yep.
And Call to the Grave, a super sweet card, excellent card in a zombie deck.
Seems sack the Solemn. Seems interested in drawing a card. I think given that we saw the probe turn, it's possible there's quite a few lands in his hand, or just not threats he's excited about casting.
Potentially.
So trying to find something a little bit more impactful to get onto the board. There's an Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness is picking back up the probe.
Sam potentially could be trying to end the game with 7 cards and no cards for his opponent as a way for a flawless victory. Not sure, but looks like we're going to be casting the probe again.
Opponent very promptly discarding 2 cards, not able to see exactly what those were, but seemed very ready and knew exactly what was getting out of his hand.
Easy to do so when you can prepare for the probe coming back.
Yep.
Not a surprise this time. And we only see it attack for 4,
4,
but that's
half the life total.
That's half the life total, and it's exactly the same thing as attacking with the Landmark or the Elvish Mystic as well.
Yep.
Due to that ignoble high art.
Exactly.
Interesting, really interesting to see him sacrifice that Solemn on the last turn.
Yeah.
That's a man committed to drawing cards.
I have a better card than this.
I would rather draw a card that's better than a free shock, which is what the decision that Sam was faced with last turn.
We're seeing a bribery. Let's see what Sam left in here. And
here, take a look before the concession. I did peek an Iridescent Angel, which is not going to be enough. We have a Bone Shredder, which is going to pick something off and provide a blocker for a turn or more because there is black mana to pay that echo cost and the event doesn't die. Although, probably shouldn't because you have a Call of the Grave and it's going to kill it anyway.
Yeah. It seems likely that the Bone Shredder will answer that call. and echo will not really be the issue.
Now, the interesting thing here is Sam sacrificed that Solemn. Now your opponent's at 4.
Yep.
You can certainly Flame Tongue Kavu to get rid of it a turn early to push in an extra damage, put Toby to 1. But you also could have been a little better off tap prior. So we're floating mana in our upkeep.
Yep.
I believe that must mean we have a Genesis available.
Ooh, we do.
And looking like we're going to get that Restoration Angel directly back, which is going to be very difficult for Toby, as already not liking what's on the board, but even more difficult to deal with at instant speed.
The thing that we have now is we now have Restoration Angel, Genesis, Eternal Witness in play. So the whole graveyard is more or less accessible. You have Call to the Grave that's putting the cards into the graveyard to get back with Eternal Witness, to get back with Genesis or Eternal. This is, okay.
Sam was not content with just having 7 cards in his hand, but also needed to make his graveyard his hand as well.
Yes. And did an excellent job of it. Absolutely brutal, powerful deck from Sam.
That was a dismantling.
Yes. Oh, it was.
I think that this is not unexpected after seeing the draft, but I think it's going to be difficult for Sam to lose 2 games in the same match.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. It's an extremely powerful deck with just a deep card pool. There are so many ways he could build it and change it and evolve it. Really, really fantastic.
Well, when you have access to all 5 colors, you have a full sideboard, which no one else has.
Yeah.
I would say, I feel pretty confident saying Sam's the only 5-color drafter at the table.
Yeah, I mean, the other one would be struggling given the quality of his mana base.
All basics.
Yeah. So do it the hard way.
Do it the hard way. That's true, but we actually saw Sam go for basics more than I thought.
Yeah, that's true. He had 1 of each basic in there.
Yes. Making sure to do domain honestly if needed. Really appreciate him going for the basic island and the basic mountain after only casting black and green cards.
Yep.
In game 1 against Toby, just saying, look, laying my card on the table. This is what you're in for.
We're painting with all the colors of the wind here.
This certainly
is what
are.
we're doing.
Okay, so taking down blue-white control, Sam, I would say in the driver's seat without even seeing the rest of
Oh,
anything.
it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine a world in which there is a deck that is equally as powerful. I mean, I think what I'd have to be looking for is something extremely aggressive, or something that can really efficiently deal with all of the, kind of the early plays that he has. So what do we have here? This looks like a deck that has some strong goblin pieces, kind of similar to what I had been talking about. We see a black goblin, we see a terror in multicolor, we see a terminate, a vindicate, a plateau, a marsh flats. So there's one drafter here who definitely has
Aggressive deck with a lot of interaction.
a lot of interaction, which is
That could be the recipe.
could be the recipe.
Could be the recipe. Could be the recipe.
One of the cards I have is Arms Dealer, which is the ability to sack a goblin to deal 4 damage to a creature. Like, also have sort of that, similar to Sam, the ability to just kind of sacrifice the board and manage what the opponent is doing.
Great against Sam if you're sacrificing that Festering Goblin. Probably going to pick off one of those little elves.
Absolutely. Siege Gang Commander in that list as well. So a lot of fodder to play with the Arms Dealer if necessary. That could be a recipe.
So there are, obviously, we have 6 drafters and players that we have not seen yet. We're going to see Sam Black come back for the next round with this Domain Rock deck, as we have christened it in the booth. And we're going to see what could potentially even take down Sam.
Oh, yeah. I feel so much better about that name, knowing that he has one of each basic in there.
Absolutely.
Like,
it fits. Yes.
Totally fits.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break. We will be back when we are ready for round 2 in just a few minutes. Don't go away.